Boxed in. The truth gets loud with no device. You're boxed in with Bryce.
We'll go one headphone,
Okay,
one not headphone.
And so I was thinking that we need resilience.
Okay.
Really important to be resilient. For example, I had a hummingbird stuck in my bay window 2 days ago. And a woman that I've seen walk, and she walks like I walk when I'm really tired. My right leg goes, and her leg just doesn't connect. And so I said, I have a hummingbird. What do I do? She got out her cell phone. She said, well, you have to have red bowls that go toward the door. She said, but I have a hummingbird feeder. Hold on, I'll drive to my house. I'll walk to my house and I'll get the hummingbird feeder. And she stayed with me. I thought, incredible. And she told me why her leg doesn't work. And I thought, what a resilient person. She went head over on her bicycle going down the road. She broke her skull and was no longer able to feel any of her limbs. She was completely paralyzed. Now she walks 3 miles a day with that leg, and because she's so resilient, she wanted her body to do it again. And the hummingbird flew out. And she said, but I will leave my hummingbird feeder with you.
That's really nice.
And so I have a hummingbird feeder, a new friend, and the most resilient person that I've met in a long time.
Wow. Was she paralyzed waist down, or was just the right side or the left side of her leg?
Completely paralyzed.
Wow. Paralyzed medicine right now it's really like, I think it's very hard, because I think the biggest thing about when you are paralyzed is movement.
Absolutely.
It's resilience of moving, and I think that technology right now is not where it needs to be for making people better.
When I was 37, I was diagnosed with MS, and I went blind, and I was paralyzed. The blindness only lasted about 5 hours, and I could walk, but I dragged my right leg. And then I rested. I got up and I said, okay, Arthur, I'm going to make dinner now. He said, Britta, I don't think this is normal.
Did it come on sudden? Like, was it just kind of one day and one day not?
Oh, no. It was completely sudden.
Wow.
Because we were training for 10K. So we were running through Valley Forge Park in Pennsylvania, near where we lived in Berwyn. Arthur had to carry me.
Wow.
Nothing worked. And then all of a sudden, I got up and I could see, and I was okay to walk as long as I dragged my leg around. But I wasn't going to stop. So I learned that if I was in cold water, even though my legs didn't work, I could swim. So for 30 years, I swam every single day. And I think that that's resilience.
Of course. What do you think it's about, like, the heat? compared to the coldness with MS? Because I feel that when I'm injured a lot, a good mix of both. And I remember when I was younger, you telling me about it, it's really hot. Here a portion of like moving, being like weather and stuff. What is it that does it feel stiff in your muscles? Is it?
I have plaques
tingle?
in my brain on the motor strip, and when you have a hot situation, you can't transmit as well over plaques.
Interesting.
In the motor strip. And I never got afraid of MS because I drew the brain and I knew exactly what was going on. So I knew that it was going through the blood-brain barrier, this problem that I had. There are T cells, and the T cells in my brain don't shut off. They just keep going on. And usually the T cells shut off because there's no longer danger. But for some reason, my brain doesn't understand that the T cells can stop. So I have them, they're constantly firing, and they're going through the blood-brain barrier, and that is going down into the hippocampus, which is the memory relay station, and the amygdala, which is emotion.
When you first experienced MS, you were talking about blindness and what does that feel like? Was it black? What did it look like? What was your body feeling in those?
And when I was blind, it was just dark.
It was just dark, nothing. Wow.
And I have friends who have MS who are blind.
Wow.
So it didn't resolve. My MS is probably a lesser variety, but I'm wondering if the swimming had something to do with my ability to the resilience.
Of course. I mean, I think, the saying that goes through, right? There's a couple sayings in the world that go through generations, and one of them is if you stop moving, you die. And that's with anything, right?
It's with your brain.
Yeah, with brains, with, people, animals, whatever it might be. So, yeah, it's really interesting that swimming, but again, it's movement, right? Movement.
It's movement, and it's neuromuscular. What you do is your spinal cord every day goes into the right areas. You're reaching it. And plus that, I made so many friends.
Yeah, doing it.
I really did.
Before we were talking about the notes on there, you were talking about being social.
Socialization.
Where do you think social's been like way different, let's just say in the last 30 years? What do you think the biggest change you've seen with people just like being social?
Cell phones.
Just technology, just people.
No, have you noticed when you go out to a restaurant? Are people communicating with one another, or are they looking at their cell phones?
There's definitely always a bunched off, like we went out to Mother's Day lunch, and there's a couple tables that you get kind of the cornered of the room. People are just on their phones, and the whole other family's kind of, it's very disconnected. It really throws off conversations, I think, and yeah, we saw it there.
So therefore, what you're doing is you're living in a great distracting world. How about your ability to communicate?
Oh, it's horrible.
To use words.
Yeah, it brings it down a huge amount.
Amazingly. Are you filming?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
There's no really like big intro.
No, I don't think
I usually have a bear come out on a small unicycle to introduce every guest. Yeah, but
I think that the internet has done it's provided so much information. I'm a little worried about AI because I don't understand it.
yeah.
I have to learn more about it. Do you understand AI? I
get
do
a chunk of it.
I do think it's going to take over certain jobs,
Oh, of course. It already has.
like research.
Research, editing for this podcast, a huge amount of it is done with AI. I send it to a program that takes about half hour and it watches the whole thing, like a couple hours of it, and from there it cuts clips up and sends them back to me edited with captions and sometimes sound over them, or footage if you want, of like a B-roll type footage. To not understand AI is
We're living in the future right now.
how do I explain AI?
I wish you could.
Artificial intelligence.
Right.
Now there's different models for it, right? So currently the big stuff you see are called LLMs, which are large language models, or learning language models. No, I think it's large language models, which is all of these huge tech companies are investing huge amounts of money to build a program that can kind of, on the baseline right now, you put parameters in what it can and can't do, or can and can't say, such as similar to as you would look something up on the internet, right? Now, instead of that, you go on to the AI system, if that is an app or a website. Some of them have one or the other, some of them have both. And with that, you can research, and it scrubs the whole internet for you, or most of it, right? So, for example, if you look up something right now on the internet, let's just say, for example, a camera. You want to purchase a camera, right? Now, when you look up on Google, right, there's multiple things. There's organic generation and paid generation, which means organic is how many people are actually clicking on it organically, and how many people are paying you to be at the top spot of Google's search page when you look something up on the internet, right?
Who's paying you?
No, I'm saying in general. Like, whatever you look up, people are paying money to be on. You want to buy new glasses, right? If you look up glasses, Ray-Bans are going to be probably at the top 5 spots of it, right? Because they're putting a lot of money into advertisement, right? Now, AI is more, instead of maybe something that is paid or organic, it is, sometimes if you ask it a question, hey, what are the best sunglasses to get, right? You get all these articles that maybe these huge brands have made and pushed to you on Google, when AI scrubs the internet, and maybe there is a little bit of advertisement, but it's trying to come to a conclusion of the right answer, and it's going through multiple websites. So it's kind of like a
step-by-step
it's
analysis.
like a bigger robot to like a regular Google. It can also generate images, right? Hey, make me an image of a camera wearing glasses. And it can put an image together, and it can then send you an image through this website of a camera wearing glasses. And these are the basics you can do. You can put coding into it to make it do automation for advertisement businesses and text businesses and website builders. But yeah, it's cutting down. It's already cut down an immense amount of jobs. Coding jobs are going down the drain. Website building jobs going down the drain, because AI can build you a website in 5 minutes. If you know what you're doing, you have to put in the right prompt. But currently AI, to I guess simplify it, is prompt you put in and it gives you an answer. And you're not scrubbing the internet, for something. It's giving you, hey, like, this is the answer that I have found through all my conclusions of, I just looked at 150 websites for you. That would have taken you 2 hours. It took me 2 seconds. So it's right now it's a lot of just A plus B equals C, put a prompt in, and it will do something. So yeah, it's very in its baby stages currently what it can do. I mean, different AI programs can do different things. People have used the technology to build editing softwares and website builders, but right now what it's currently doing, it's just a better search engine right now, what most people use it for. Sometimes when you look something up with people, right, you sometimes hear that I don't know, like I can't find the answer. You go through a New York Times page and you're looking through the 10 ads, and then now you're 7 paragraphs in to find the one sentence that tells you the answer that you were looking for. If you look it up on AI, it does that for you automatically, and it just tells you the answer of the question you're looking for. So it's just
now
more of an
I'm
automated system.
Really old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Because I used to do that by myself.
Yeah. It's like going and doing it.
But is that taking away some of the intellectual stimulation?
Of course.
That a person would have.
Of course. But if you can use that technology for the better, this podcast would have not happened without AI. Like I'm pretty good with technology, but
yeah, you are. But, you always have.
There's a million and one things that I had no idea about that I would have had to pay somebody thousands of dollars to teach me, from settings in the camera, from how the cameras are set up to a computer that runs and records on the computer. I could have figured it out. I'm not saying I couldn't have, but instead of me figuring out all this stuff on the internet and reading through maybe hundreds of articles and forums and this, AI was like, hey, just do it like this. You got it. Like, it's fine. Like, just get this cable, get this cord, do this thing. And it knows an immense amount of information. So I think that's really where it's going to right now, is it's a huge place for just cut the crap information, because a lot of that stuff on the internet, if you hear about something, right? You hear about let's just say you hear about I usually have a TV pulled up with it, but I don't have my computer right now, the little computer for here, but I would show you how it works. But you could ask it about a social issue or about whatever, and it would kind of give you, it seemed like, the state of this place has released this statement compared to, scrubbing it all and finding that clip or that video of it. Right now it's just very kind of cut to the chase type of information.
So there's a great deal of specificity.
Yeah, for sure. Well, because, right, like, you've done some online research for stuff. You got to look through a lot of crap before you find something decent, right? You're probably reading through these people that are trying to keep you on their website to push you an ad, and with that, they're giving you a lot of fluff, And
so
with that fluff,
I'm still reading newspapers and books because I love the print.
Yeah.
I love the pages. I love that. I'm a voracious reader. So I read, maybe 3 books a week.
That's really good. I love reading. I love books too. I was reading, Lucia recommended it to me. It's like a self-help book, The Art Not Given an F word there. The Art of Not Giving an F. Which it's a good book. It's a good book. But I love reading. And definitely there's something about like holding a book,
There is.
You're saying the pages and holding it.
I love it. And I love having the New York Times because every Sunday I spend the ridiculous amount of money to get the entire newspaper, and I underline the key concepts, and it just makes me feel learned for a week.
I think it makes us feel human. I think that it slows us down a bit. I think with technology,
it does.
You can scroll on a page. You can read a million things at once, and your brain's overwhelmed, and that's not good for your nervous system to be moving that quickly.
It's not good. Yeah. That's when cortisol floods your body, and cortisol is the worst.
Yeah.
It's like putting battery acid starting here and going all the way down.
I think that's what like makes us feel human is when you read a book, you open up the back and you flip through the pages and it slows you down. It automatically makes you take a step back, which we live in a time of everybody moving, very
And
quickly.
that is very interesting because at 81, I'm not moving as fast. I live at the ocean. I see butterflies. I see whales. I walk in the sand. I have a complete sensory environment and it's calm. And I'm still working, which is wonderful because it keeps my brain going. And I'm still contributing. So that's important to me.
Of course.
And I love helping people. But that's my profession.
When did you fall in love with your profession and helping people?
I was 14. I worked at a camp for multiply handicapped children. And some of the children were post-polio, and we would pull them in wagons, and their arms and legs were about this big. I had no fear because
Polio was what again? Polio's the...
It emaciates and paralyzes. And so...
It's not as common anymore, right?
Not at all, because there are vaccines.
There are vaccines for it.
And...
was it genetic? It was genetic, right?
Probably everything is genetic.
Well, yeah, but I
way.
mean, in the sense of
polio.
Like the limb wouldn't go to a smaller state later in life, right? It would be people would be born that way.
Well, yes, I think so. I'm not absolutely sure. But and I worked with deaf, and I worked with hydrocephalic, and I worked with Down syndrome, and I loved it. And there were 10 of us. We were all 14. And each one of us has gone into the healthcare system. By the time we were 20, we were running this camp. And I think it was so interesting because we all learned to sign because there were deaf kids. And the deaf kids would ask us questions about sex. We had no idea because we were 14 and we didn't, we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we learned so much from the kids that we worked with, and it made us want to answer questions and find answers and get into the medical system. And so each one of us did.
So after that,
I wanted to be a speech pathologist because I realized that communication was the key.
Wow.
That was it.
That needs to be preached more. Communication is key.
It's the key.
To so many things.
It's absolutely. Yeah. And so for 30 years, I worked with Alzheimer's. Then I helped start the MS Achievement Center at UCLA, which 25 years ago we did that, and it's still running strong.
It's really cool.
And my associate, Licia Cocciani-Pasquet, unfortunately died of multiple causes, and we wrote a program called Cognitive Fitness, Keep the Brain Going, because with MS, 60 to 70% of the people with MS have cognitive problems. But with strategies, they can overcome them. So
what strategies do
we use?
Do you love using? Not just that you use, that you love. That you see the most impact, that you see people strive to or strive for?
Well, we start with attention. Because without attention, There is no memory. You cannot remember anything. So we go into what's the opposite of attention?
Distraction.
Yeah, of course. And how many distractions are there?
Nowadays, it seems like unlimited. It seems a little. There's probably too. We probably need to cut down on how many distractions everyone's
I would say
having.
the biggest distraction is probably that cell phone that you carry with you all the time. But there are internal distractions, pain, hunger. You have to go to the bathroom. There are external distractions, noise. Noise is a huge distraction. And you get a lot of noise from the internet.
Of course.
So you have to be aware of what it is that's taking you away from focus. And some people have no idea how bad the distractions can, like there's a distraction called intentional blindness. There are people that are crossing the street and they have their cell phones and they're almost hit by cars.
Oh, of course.
And or they're walking into buildings, literally, or they're walking into ponds. They're walking, they have no idea what they're doing. That's intentional blindness. So you can take care of that. The next thing is memory. How do you remember?
How do I remember? I was just talking about this with my friend the other day. I've seen you do memory stuff, so I'm at an advantage. But they were talking to me about how they're really upset that the people in their life don't remember things sometimes, and it's little things as about
parts
them.
of them.
Yeah, that's
about called episodic memory. We each have a memory.
Yeah, like parts,
of remembering. I remember a third birthday party that I went to with my mom. And I had the coolest dress on you could ever imagine. Do I remember who else was there? No, because I was so impressed. Episodic memory is your very own memory. Other kids that were there would argue that, no, that wasn't the most important part. There was a great piñata. Or, didn't you remember the birthday cake? No, I don't remember any of that. I just remember what was most important to me.
Yeah, she was referring to people remembering things about her, not what she remembers. So, for example, she's only held a baby like one time in her life, and she's in her 20s, and she was talking to me about it, and she's like, I told you that, like, you don't remember. And I think that, to answer your question again of how do you remember, it's such a weird thing. 5 minutes later, me and her are talking. My friend just leased a car. He is at 10,000 miles a year. We talked about it 3 weeks ago. That's 833 miles a month. I can't remember that you held a baby once, but I can remember that. I think a big thing of memory is emotion attached to it. I think a big memory is, and I know on your scale that you do it on a very literal way, but I think in real world application, association
certainly
is huge.
How do you remember names, for example?
Names are tough. Names are hard.
I've got the clue.
No, okay, tell me the clue for
Okay, I'm
names.
going to tell you how to read. You won't forget. Okay. You meet someone. I met someone recently who helped me save the hummingbird, and her name was Mary. So I'm not going to forget that because Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? Mary. And I'm going to use something called spaced retrieval.
Space what?
Spaced retrieval.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I'm going to say your name 3 times. Mary, it was so nice to meet you. Mary, please come by whenever you're walking. Mary, so I'm saying it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Then later in the afternoon, I'm going to remember. I'm going to visualize her, and I'm going to visualize her with someone else that I know whose name is Mary. So I'm going to put them together, and that's the hook.
Yeah.
And spaced retrieval is I don't just say it 3 times, and I don't just say it later that day. I say it much later before I go to bed. I remember Mary. And the next morning, I remember Mary.
Mm-hmm.
So spaced retrieval, I'm remembering over time. I'm using visualization because I can see her. I hooked it in my memory using past long-term memory. If it's in order to go from short-term memory is a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
In order for that phone number to be remembered, you're going to repeat it over and over again until you can write it down. And there's actually a physical change when it goes from short-term memory to long-term memory.
Wow.
And that hooks, and you're not going to forget it. Visual and auditory.
It's very big. No,
Usually, visual is very important for everybody, but so's auditory. I have a friend who's deaf, and she wears hearing aids. She listens to books all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible memory, but she also discusses them after she's read them, and that's the best. Research has shown that you should read 12 and a half pages a day. It's not going to stick if you don't tell somebody about it.
Of course.
I just read the greatest thing, but that is reinforcing your memory. You've got visual and auditory.
No, you have to talk about it. You have to.
You
I think that's why you hear a lot of people that enjoy movies not talking about it a lot. You know, they're searching for names and they're searching for attributes, and you know, they might remember the hook and punch at the end, but a lot of those smaller details of memorizing, you know, whatever it might be is lost because it's not at all being talked about. So that's as far as with learning memory. Right, tilt this a little bit towards you. No, I think a big thing with memory, I wonder. So that's.
And if you're
planning to learn those things, right? Now, what do you think?
That's executive
Why
function.
do you think happens when you don't plan? Why do you think something in
for example,
like for example, me remembering 833? Is it because I'm worried about him going over it because he drives a lot, and I call him back a week later, like, hey, have you hit your or a couple weeks later, I'm like, are you close to your 800? Have you gone over it yet? Why do you think that number would stick in a head like that compared to, like do you think emotions have a huge thing to do with it? Because obviously what you're referring to is, you know, you want to remember someone's name. Right, but why do you think we memorize things that might be weird thoughts or...
If they're unusual, you're going to bring... If they're funny...
Funny is a good one.
Or depressing.
Yeah.
Those two you're going to remember most. For example, I had a husband who was your grandfather. That was an amazing memory for both of us. he would drop everything to pick you up. He'd cancel meetings. He was amazing as a grandfather. He was also incredible as a husband. He would come to my Alzheimer groups and hand out birthday cake. He would come to the MS Achievement Center and do wordplay with my clients. He was so involved. And yet this was a man who had skills way beyond mine. He was highly intelligent. And we both remember him well. I imagine you remember him differently than I do.
Of course.
Because you were his grandson.
Yeah, when emotions come into memory, it's a very it's very interesting how it works and how you remember things. And I think, you know,
how do you remember Ampa?
How do I remember him? Very loving. Very you can, you know, he holds a room, huge rooms, not even just, I mean, I remember him talking at dinner with an immense amount of people there. And
about 2,000.
It's about 2,000. And he does the same thing in front of 5. It's an energy you feel that not a lot of people have. And I mean, he was like the closest thing to a comedian without the title.
He used humor a lot.
He was very funny. He was very, very funny. Dry humor I remember a lot of dry humor and big setups to long endings for jokes and stories. And caring, loving,
I remember him
slowing down, and you know, I think he was really good at, I never saw him overstimulate. It seems like his regulation was, you know, even if it was taking the hottest shower I've ever seen anybody take in my life, to sit outside and be steaming like he just came out of a lobster boil pot, you know, to just feel that you could feel the presence of, you can't even explain the word. It almost feels like calmness mixed with, like, being very present is what I can say was a big thing. And yeah, loving guy. And
I remember him when we had his memorial. He was very close with the guys in the parking lot. He was every man. He never discriminated. Black, white, purple, green. He was friends with every man.
Of course.
His best friend was a black man from, I think Bio Ogunlesi was from Uganda. And they had huge brains. When they discussed things, it just overwhelmed me. And Bio was a professor at Harvard, as well as he's head of the biggest REITs in the world, like airports and stuff like that. And he flew one of the planes out for when Arthur was dying. And then he came again with his wife and his son to the memorial service. And he's like a prince. And people would say, was there a prince at your house? I said, Yeah, I guess so. But he never discriminated.
Mm-hmm.
And he always, he had such parity. He believed that women and men had the same rights. He never questioned it. I didn't realize that some people aren't married to feminists who, I didn't realize it until women started talking to me about their husbands who had also passed. And there was such a difference.
Yeah, he cared about everybody.
He did.
And you could feel it if it was, like you said, the parking lot guy to maybe a big league guy that he knew. It was
and he knew a lot of big
love.
league guys.
Yeah, and it was love, and you could feel it. You could feel it so much. Even when I was a kid, I remember going into his office, and you could feel, yeah, I'm a kid, and you go in and people love me. But what it really is people love him so much, and anyone attached to him is, you then feel that, like, so when I was younger going in there, you could feel all those people that were at the office he worked at automatically loved me because you're a part of something that's, almost a sunshine of beam in a way. Yeah.
But he had such a big brain.
He did. He was very intelligent.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He would, I remember when he was in law school, I was finishing my undergraduate. He had already finished his PhD and his MBA, and he was in law school. And I was finishing my undergraduate degree, and we would study, and he would bring home these books that were like this thick, and he'd read them. And he'd read them in the weekend, and he could tell you which page the information was on that you wanted to know. I said, that's unfair. I can remember things, but I have to use strategies.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the more strategies I use. He didn't.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
He didn't need those strategies. Okay, so tell me about, let's see, adventure.
Adventure.
Life is an adventure. Look at you.
What's your favorite adventure you've been on?
Oh my goodness. My favorite. I don't know what my favorite adventure is.
One of your favorites.
I know. When I was in Sweden, which I love Sweden because I feel as though I'm part of the community. Because I think I am.
Yeah, you have bloodline over there. You are.
And there was this huge stone just standing in the street. And I said to my cousin, Ingemar, what is that? He said, oh, it's a rune stone. I said, a rune stone? You mean those markings on that stone are rune? And that's almost prehistoric.
Wow.
That was from the original. I mean, the Swedes and Norwegians they were using markings as language.
Wow.
I touched that stone and I thought, I have just touched. This is history.
Of course.
I'm touching forebears back hundreds, maybe thousands of years.
Yeah.
And I'm standing here touching it.
Can you feel, did you feel almost?
Yes. I felt something.
You felt something.
Yes.
When you touched something. Because
I felt like that I was history. It was going back ages and millenniums.
Because I've touched some meteorites and some very high grade stones not from this planet, and it does bring something to it. So I would assume with history as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah, what it is with Yeah. So was that in Stockholm?
That was outside of Stockholm.
Outside.
And I know just enough Swedish to get in terrible trouble. And I took trains everywhere, and I would get on the train and I could say, "Hey son, roligt träffas. It's nice to meet you." And then people would go on and on and on and on. And
They think you're from there.
And I had no idea what they were saying. And then I would have to switch to English, and I say, "I'm so sorry. I'm American." And they didn't hate me or hit me because Americans at that time were still okay.
Oh, they're not okay. Not in Sweden.
Well, I think Sweden looks at us sort of backward right now.
It's a pretty backwards time we're living in. It's scary.
It is scary.
Yeah, it's I want to go to Sweden. I haven't been since I was really little. I want to go back. We haven't. We went all together, right?
We did indeed.
We stayed in Stockholm, or a little bit outside of Stockholm.
With my cousin.
Yep.
And she had a beautiful loom on the second floor. And she wove. My mother wove too. And my grandmother. And we have a Swedish costume, and every generation is supposed to weave a new piece. Well, guess who the missing link is? I don't weave, and I don't have a loom. So I've broken the chain. It's not good.
We can get a loom, I think.
Are
the looms? They're like the handheld ones, right? With the
No. This was, but her husband built it for her.
Oh, okay, it's on the ground.
Oh, huge!
I'm thinking more of those maybe knitting ones where you knit it into the wooden oval.
Yeah, we had those as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like a full machine, like a sewing machine almost.
No. It's like you push the wood and you bring it.
Oh yes,
back.
I've seen those. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful wooden apparatus. And my mother would weave. My mother was 6 feet tall, so was my grandmother. And so my mother made all of her own clothes because at 13, she was 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And not many women were.
Yeah, of course.
And so she would weave the fabrics for her coats and her suits. And she had beautiful, beautiful clothes because she wove them.
When you grew up, you were kind of bouncing around from different cities, right? What was one of the earliest cities you remember being in? What was the that was up north for your third birthday, you remember? That was in
I was in Oakland.
You were in
Oakland. That's
Oakland?
where my grandparents lived. And
Okay.
my mother and I lived very close to my grandparents because my grandmother was a teacher. And my mother graduated from Berkeley and from Holy Names, and she played lots of instruments, but
what did she had her degree in? Was it was musical?
She had a degree in music and one in business.
Oh wow.
And that was long ago because I was born in 1944. And she could make more money than anybody in the family. So my grandmother stopped teaching in order to take care of me. And my mother worked in San Francisco, which was exciting because if I was a very good girl, which sometimes I was and sometimes I wasn't, she would take me across the bay in a ferry boat to go from Oakland to San Francisco. And we would feed popcorn to the birds, and we would walk around the streets of San Francisco. It was very long ago, and it looked like a different city.
Yeah, I bet.
And
I've never taken the ferry up there across.
You should.
Yeah. It's not too long, right?
My grandfather was a master rigger of sailing ships.
Wow.
And he was a Swede, and he was the 13th in his family, and the first one got the farm, and everybody else went to sea. And so he sailed in a master sailboat. He would climb up to the eagle's nest, which is way high, and because he could handle such heights, he worked on the Oakland Bay Bridge and the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. And his best friend was a short Norwegian, and they re-rigged the Balclutha, which is the sailing frigate in the San Francisco Museum.
Sailing is the best. I remember sailing when I was a kid went to like a little camp that you would go for like a couple of days and go sail like once every couple of weeks. And yeah, something, maybe I could feel it in my blood. We had like sailing.
Oh,
I mean 13. So he had 13 siblings. Was it all?
There was one.
They were in Sweden was the farm?
Yes.
And then the rest went to sea was it? Oh, like what was to sea for? Like where did they go to sea to? They would just sail, or
they would go. They went all over the world.
Wow, that's really cool.
All over the world. There was one girl.
She got the farm.
No. That was Aunt Anna, and she lived in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
She was a woman's companion. They used to have. She worked for an elderly woman
mm-hmm.
like me, and who needed a companion to make food, help with the bills, etc. And that's what she did. And the rest of, we had a lot of Swedes on our block because my grandfather would sponsor his cousins, Ingva and Rune. My mother's name was Runa, but this was Rune. And they worked for the aircraft companies long ago.
And when you mean they sponsored, what do you mean by that?
My
like
grandfather,
to get a job or to come
to
here
bring them from Sweden.
From Sweden.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
He would sponsor them. So there were a lot of Swedes and Norwegians on our street. And first generation Italians and first generation Russians. And when I went to Philadelphia, I thought, everybody here is white. Where is the problem? Because Oakland was a melting pot.
Yeah, of course.
It was really exciting.
That's really cool. And then you moved after college. You went out there with Umpa?
After I met your grandfather at Berkeley, he was finishing his doctorate in economics and his MBA, and I was. I think I was probably by that time I was a junior in college. And we met, and he was driving a 650 Triumph motorcycle, and he had some roommates he went to Lehigh undergraduate, and they were coming out to California to visit
Lehigh,
him.
Pennsylvania?
Mm-hmm.
Lehigh, yeah.
And so they came out to visit him, and he sent them over to kidnap me. I said, I'm not going with you. They said, he just wants you to ride on his motorcycle. And I turned to him and I said, I wouldn't go anywhere with you. I wouldn't ride on your motorcycle. Well,
were you just at your house, or you were?
We were in an apartment.
You were in your apartment.
And he was in an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And my roommate said, don't talk to him. He studies all the time. he was so
Don't talk to him. He
interested.
studies all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's the bad flag. He's a studier.
Right. Yeah, he just studies.
Mm.
So it was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to him. I said I wouldn't go anywhere with you. So 3 weeks later, he gave me his fraternity pin, and I decided I was going to marry him.
That's beautiful. Sorry.
So it took me a year and a half, but I finally convinced him that
What's
Actually-
the fraternity pin? Is it like something that's like on?
it's like before you get an engagement ring.
But it's like a pin that they would wear.
That
On there.
when women would wear them. Then if you're pinned, then it's
like a promise.
yes,
ring.
it's
What fraternity was he in?
Sigma Chi.
And were you in a
Sorority, no.
sorority?
I thought they were a very snobby group of people, all sororities.
But not the frats. The frats were cool.
The frats were
Just
funny.
They were funny.
He was in Sigma Chi and they had a greased pig race, I remember. I thought that was so hysterical.
What did they do with the grease pig? They just
They
like,
tried
let
to
'em-
catch it.
Oh, like they would like grease the pig like other people would
yeah.
try to catch them.
It was, and they were so ridiculous. And I just laughed and laughed. Humor is the best.
It is.
It is.
It does something for you, right? It does.
You're very funny, Bryce.
I try to be. I try
You
to
are.
be.
You crack me up all the time.
I try to be funny.
It's hard to be
I
serious.
don't actually currently have my clown mask on, but I can
But
get
you
the
don't
paint really
need
quick.
one. Oh, I just love to laugh.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people take life a little too serious. It's
They
a little
do.
too.
I mean, really,
It's all too serious, you know.
it is.
Yeah.
And it lighten up.
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
come on.
Yeah, you have to nowadays, especially with. But I think a lot of people are scared. I think that's the thing.
I think they are
it's
scared.
Fear. I think.
But how do you override fear?
You know, I was thinking about the other day. I was in Europe, right, last summer, and met these women that were by themselves on trains and living in hostels. And
Oh, yeah.
they had a backpack with the heels that were on the back side of it.
Yeah.
And to say that to any of my, women I know out here, it's foreign. It's scary. It's so foreign to them because they are living in fear. And I'm not saying everybody, but I think a lot of people, we live in a day and age of, right? And what was it? The 80s, 90s, early 2000s, a lot of these crazy serial killers were all over the news, right? I mean, it was huge. And I think that has trickled into men being creepy sometimes. And I think that's a big thing, like fear. I saw that a lot, like in Europe, that difference of what people are living here from there.
Your mom backpacked all over Europe
Yeah.
and stayed in hostels. She always met Swedes.
Mhm.
I don't know how she did that.
I met some too when I was out in. They go around. They're traveling.
They travel.
Well, because they go on there, right? Swedish people, they do the. What's the partying after? Is it in between college, right?
The gap year.
Yeah, they do like parties, right? It's like a party tour.
Well, I don't know
I
what
think
about.
they do that in Sweden.
They do gap years.
They
I
do
don't
gap
know.
years. I think there's like a party. They like travel and like. I don't remember exactly like what they do. It's some.
Sweden is really funny. They give they hand out colored condoms to women that are traveling, and which is
Yeah,
normal.
they ask you, okay, what's your favorite color? Here's the matching condom to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems right.
It's very natural.
Mm.
Have a great summer. So
What's your favorite color? Have a great summer. That's the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's interesting. So that's your favorite adventure? Sweden? Sweden was one of them. Was Umpa there with you?
Oh, of course.
So you guys went with that time.
Oh yeah. And
so your cousins moved back they were living here and then they moved back to Sweden, and that's when you visited them? No, okay, they didn't move. That cousin didn't move.
They never left Sweden.
Okay. So
they traveled a lot. But let's see. Adventure. We went long ago to Australia and New Zealand. And Frank Lowy, who owned Westfield, said to Arthur, what do you want to see? Arthur said, I want to see the Aborigines. I want to go to the Outback, Alice Springs, and Ez Rock. And Frank Lowy said, really? He said, I've never been there. He said, you can tell us what it was like. It was such an adventure.
Really?
Oh, we went in this plane that carried like 4 people. And we went to, and it's all red rock. And it's as though the sea just receded because the red earth has waves in it.
Wow.
It's incredible. And
that's in the southern part, right?
No, it's in the middle.
It's in the middle.
And so we took this 4-seater plane, and I didn't realize it, but it landed in a bus stop, and I hadn't scheduled a bus, but the bus driver said, hey, and we got in, and he said, do you want a beer? It was 8:00 in the morning. I went.
That makes sense.
It was really hot. And so we went to Ez Rock, which is a rock that you climb all the way to the top. And there were German people in their high heels climbing this rock. I went, determination. Are you kidding me? But everybody climbs high because the Australian hello, there's a reason for that, because the flies are so thick, they crawl into all your orifices. So you've got to get up high. And so we went there.
Australian hello. I like that.
And we ate with chetty bugs. Those are bugs that crawl on the trees. But they roasted them.
Yeah.
But
you really wanted to eat them alive. You were sad they
well,
roasted them.
I didn't want to eat them alive, but I thought that with chetty bugs, that sounded so interesting. And we had that with kangaroo meat. That was pretty delicious, but everything tastes like chicken. So
does everything taste like chicken though?
Well,
everyone does relate a lot of things to chicken.
Yeah. Well, I've never had kangaroo meat before, so
Interesting.
I have no comparison.
Is it like a delicacy out there?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Too many kangaroos.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah. But the birds were so multicolored. But we didn't go to the West Coast, Perth. I'd like to go there someday, maybe.
Australia
or maybe not.
Seems really cool.
And then we went to New Zealand, and Arthur and I loved New Zealand. We went to the South Island, which then had a huge earthquake.
Wow.
And the city that we loved was wiped out. So I don't know what it looks like now.
The Kiwis, right? They call them there?
Uh-huh.
Oh, the Kiwis. And
yeah.
I was really big into longboarding when I was younger, and that was such a big place I wanted to go to was New Zealand.
Please do. You should
the
go.
hills were amazing. Like in what I've seen in the very green. So you guys went in the summer? Or when did you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous there. It looks
Gorgeous.
like.
In
Yeah.
Arthur.
It's like jungly mixed with.
That's at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's Milford Sound.
Okay.
And just about every temperature zone in the world is in Milford Sound.
Yeah.
And Arthur and I decided that we loved New Zealand. I mean, the beaches were purple sand and high mountains. Arthur said, well, they don't need any more lawyers here, but maybe you could get a job as a speech pathologist. I said, oh, we loved the people. They were so nice. That one woman that I was sitting next to in the plane said, let me give you a gift. She said, let me give you this little purse that opens up into a bag. So you will always be able to carry things around that you buy in New Zealand. I thought,
that's sweet.
Wow, she was so kind. But
that's so sweet.
people were like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels very closed off in America compared to a lot of other countries. Have you always felt that here living here? And especially you lived on two of the coast, right? Do you think there's a difference?
Do I think there's a difference between California and New
I
York
just mean,
and
like,
Philadelphia?
Socially, like what do you think?
Yes.
Why when I go to other countries, is it because I'm out of my element? Is it the people? Is it the place? What do you think?
Let me tell you how I felt in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Completely alienated.
Mm-hmm.
I was used to, I'm a California girl.
Mm-hmm.
I was used to saying hi to everybody and talking to people. So I was going to school at Temple University, which is in an all-black area. And the guards at Temple University would shut the doors at night because they were scared to go out. Arthur would study in the law library so he could walk me from my classes out. And I would get on a bus and I'd say, hi. And the bus driver would turn to me and say, don't do it. Don't be friendly. People don't do that here. Mm. And I found Philadelphia to be, people just, they would say to me, well, who's your family? I would say, who's my family? Well, my grandfather jumped ship in San Francisco, so we were illegal for a while. They would go, no. Who's your family? They were all so, who cares?
Pretentious.
Snobby.
Yeah.
And I don't do snobby very well.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And New York is fast and terrifyingly snobby, but not as snobby as Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. My best friends were speech pathologists because, we didn't care who you were or what you did. We were just trying to help. You had a stroke. We could give you some strategies.
I've seen you never really, like, your nervous system. You seem such as Umpa, like, very able to, like, slow down and be in the present. Is there any tips you've seen that's helped you of not moving fast? Or you said in New York, it's just not how, right? That's just how they move there. Have you ever caught yourself moving quickly? Have you always been good at kind of taking it easy and cruising the,
I like
the turtle and the hare race?
I like to experience the environment. I like to smell the sea and watch the butterflies and check out the flowers, and things don't upset me a lot. Yeah. Maybe that's because I'm so old.
When you were younger, did you see things upset you more?
Not particularly.
No.
I had a really fantastic childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Even though my father left when I was 6 months old, and my mother remarried his half brother because she had met him at the wedding, and he came on the GI Bill to go to Berkeley to finish his degree in engineering. And the only person he knew was my mom. And my grandmother would always want to feed him. And so he came over for dinner a lot, and they got married. I was a flower girl. I remember that. And not a lot upsets me.
That's good. Yeah, I catch myself sometimes getting upset over little things, and you realize
it's not important.
It's not important, and it's really not good for you. It's
really
the cortisol or whatever it might be in your brain that is pushing stress and activating your nervous system to almost hum in a negative way.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, it doesn't
help you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've elected not to do that.
Yeah. I've seen one of my friends, she's like 22 and she just got a couple gray hairs and she gets very stressed over.
You're kidding. She just got.
Yeah. But she's the type of person.
I have a lot of gray hair.
She's a very stressful person. She worries about a lot of little things, a lot of
Can you change it?
I think it's possible. I think it's difficult. I think
but people that get stressed out, is it because
you know what I think? I think now it's people are constantly getting stimulated, and then outside of stimulation, they maybe are dealing with their problems left and sitting with themselves less. So then they stimulate more. Then they finally go back to that point of having to deal with those problems, and it's such a big hump for them to go through. I feel like people sometimes deal with problems nowadays where it's you go over the speed bump, you look back in your rearview mirror, you throw the car in reverse, and then you go full reverse again right over that speed bump. Like it's because you're not even thinking about it maybe harming you. You're so stimulated through movies and books, or movies and short form content and TikTok and Instagram, that I think people are not dealing with their problems. And then when these problems, no matter what, will come to you, even if you sit on your phone for a week straight, when you have to go out and do something, you'll feel it then, or whatever it might be. And I think that's a huge thing of people dealing with their problems later and being so stressed out about the little things then, because they're not dealing with just all the other stuff at all. So everything's a big deal to them.
I have an idea. I suggest that you tell your friends to start mapping. Mapping is great. You draw a circle and you put rays around the circle and the key concept in the middle. What is it? What is the most important thing you're worried about? And then
breaking it down almost.
Absolutely. Then the rays around the circle are the elements that are contributing to this problem. And then you number them. So that's the sequence that they have to be done in.
Yeah,
so
order.
You're breaking
I like that.
Everything down. And then it's
looking at a smaller piece of the cake, which will make it easier to consume.
But it's planning.
Yeah. I think some people just get so wrapped up in the whole thing. They can't plan. Yeah, they can't even.
They catastrophize.
Yeah.
And that causes cortisol. And that's brain acid throughout your body. And that's not a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's not good at all.
So just pare it down. Clump it. in to like things, remember that it's not going to end. You're going to have to keep solving problems.
Yeah, life is...
And the best way to do it is a way that you can handle.
Yeah.
So find what works best
Yeah.
for you.
I think people aren't even putting the work in. A lot
If
of
you
the
don't
time.
put the work in,
Yeah, it's not happening.
You're not going to get the result.
Yeah, but a lot of people, I think, from what I've seen, friends and family and situations, people just let the bottle boil up and boil over, and then the water dumps and it fills up again.
Absolutely.
And it's not maintaining it or watching it or maybe putting a little bit of salt in or whatever it might be. It's a lot of like you said, drastic
Catastrophizing.
and then it goes to
then you get
nothing.
sick.
Yeah, then you get sick. It actually shows physically.
Absolutely.
Which is very interesting how stress and maybe even fear or worry, doubt even, right, can show in your body.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's what do you feel about doubt? Doubt's been something I've thought about a lot recently.
Doubt?
Yeah.
If you're worried.
Are you referring to doubt or
if you have doubt about something.
Doubt.
Let's talk about doubt.
Let's do it.
What is doubt? Are you doubting that you can do it? Are you doubting you're competent enough? Are you doubting that you can get the outcome that you want? Why are you doubting yourself? You have all the skills. You have everything at your fingertips. If you don't know how to do it, you can solve it by using AI.
Mm-hmm.
You can Google it.
I think it's comparison, right? I mean, I think...
What are you comparing?
I think
are
the
you
doubt
comparing?
comes from... Most doubt I've seen people in business or relationships is... You see guys not talking to girls a lot nowadays. I know a lot of people, they don't...
Why?
I think the fear of failing, comparing yourself to the next person, the fear of rejection, the fear of that.
If you don't talk to him,
comparing yourself to another guy you've seen get rejected, I think, I think doubt is it's a scary, scary drug people play with.
Oh, I think doubt's terrifying.
Yeah.
But why are you doubting? If you have to risk.
Yeah.
If you don't risk, how are you going to get anything done?
Mm-hmm. You have to take risks.
You have to take risks.
Mm-hmm. But people get comfortable. People get really... Nowadays...
People get senescence.
Mm.
They sit and they think about it and they do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They watch Fox News
Mm-hmm.
and think that everything they hear is true,
Yeah.
which obviously isn't. I mean, if you don't question, why doubt yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got everything going.
Yeah. Remember they used to call me the question boy, Miss Rosted, and
I loved her.
She's great.
She was a great teacher.
Great teacher. Yeah, first, second grade, they used to call me that. And yeah, I've always questioned things and definitely had my doubts.
How do you get the answers if you don't ask a question?
Yeah. I think a lot of people almost see it as like an inconvenience, right? I mean, I'm the type of person where if I need something, right? What if it's a part for the podcast or something for work? I will call 50 places.
You've got persistence.
Yeah, and you call and you figure it out to I think a big thing is people think it's like too much and it's like everything
or I can't do it.
Yeah, it's too
hard. Why use can't? Do you know when I lecture, that's a word that's not allowed? I don't use can't. or I used to.
Mhm.
I used to be able to do this. Well, yeah, because yesterday was a different day.
Yeah.
Maybe you felt better. Maybe you didn't have a migraine headache. Maybe you had exercised. Maybe you had something that disagreed with you for dinner. Don't doubt.
Yeah, you can't
risk.
Take the risk.
Just do it a different way. I love the concept of MacGyvering.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do it one way, figure out another way. If you can't close a bag because you don't have the right fastener, use a clothespin.
And I think a big thing too, people with doing that and going through that journey, what I've seen and a lot of what my other guests on the podcast have talked about, of even going through the hardship of taking that risk, something better comes out, right? You might be not able to close the bag, but then with that weird journey, sometimes, and what I've seen it mostly happens, like you find a better bag, or like you find a better tool that like you were so convinced that like this was going to work. But now through this journey of maybe talking with people, doing research, trying out new things, thinking, processing, doing the actual thing, you found another, probably even better way to do it, or, a perfected way of doing it, which doesn't get talked about a lot of like, it's not just going through the hardship, but what comes it is usually like way more beneficial than what it would be maybe taking, the hey, I don't want to do it, I can't, road.
You can use different tools.
Yeah.
Don't be satisfied with doing it the same way all the time. Yeah. Use other strategies. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And they may not be built for what you're trying to do, but you get it done. And it's better. So is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to know about being a speech pathologist. I've done speech. I've been to a couple, I had a therapist growing up at a couple of different schools I went to.
You had a grandmother.
And I had obviously, that was, I didn't have to pay for that one. The school didn't provide me that one. That one.
Yeah, but they offered me a job.
Yeah. They definitely, they loved you. And I still have these. I remember when I was younger and I would say something a little bit off. You would pronounce it and use it in a sentence and pronounce it again and show me how to say it. Where do you think speech is lacking nowadays, that you see like the industry, or where do you love where it's going, like with the whole industry with speech pathology?
I think that one word that I hear all the time, which has absolutely no meaning anymore, is FUCK. People start sentences with it. They use it many times instead of using creativity and words. You play word play.
Yeah.
One great thing I do every day is really stress my brain out on finding synonyms and antonyms, and how can there are words, all they give you is the first and the second syllable, or the first sound and the second sound. I love that. My brain goes crazy. But play with words. Know that there's never a perfect word.
Yeah.
I
love learning new words, and I'm trying to expand my vocabulary, especially having a podcast now. It's a beautiful thing to do.
You've always had a great vocabulary. You have.
Yeah.
And you've always been funny.
It's good to expand it.
Of course. Expand. I love words.
The knowledge of words are very, very well. Where do you, when you're helping people with speech, where do you usually start?
Depends on the problem.
Okay.
If
Give me one that
stroke,
comes to mind. Okay, someone that has a stroke.
and they have Broca's aphasia, which means they can come out with one word at a time, or they can't come out with a word, or do they have Wernicke's aphasia? And that means they're talking spontaneously, but they don't know what they're saying. So it's like mixed up speech. And what you do is, we used to use tape recorders where they start to understand that what they're saying is just jumble mumble. And with Broca's aphasia, when they can't find a word, what you do is you put a word, the first sound or the first syllable, help them fill in a sentence, and then they become progressively more fluent. I had a client once who had Broca's aphasia, and the neurologist that I was working for said, "Do you know why?" I said, "Well, I've read the reports, but I don't know." He said, "Doesn't it seem strange to you that he's in his late 30s and he's had a stroke?" I said, "Yeah, that's really young." He said, what do you think might have caused that?" I said, "Well," he said, "he's doing drugs and alcohol, and he gave himself a stroke. He was on cocaine and then using booze chasers." And his wife's comment was, "Does this mean we have to throw away that beautiful white stuff?" And the neurologist said to me, "You think you'll be back?" I got him speaking. He was fluent.
Wow. How long was that process?
Oh, about 2 months.
Wow.
And he reappeared.
Wow. Yeah, stimulating the brain and bringing those connections back, right? I think that's what gets lost in you see it at a physical level with people that are paralyzed, but then when people have strokes, it's the same thing of those connections having to be regained. It's on a hard level. Yeah, it's like even when you're sitting uncomfortably or when you have a leg propped up and it goes numb, but the numbness goes to the highest degree and you're bringing blood and having your neurons fire
and
again.
You have to move all the time.
You have to constantly get that range of motion of muscles and speaking. And
I have numbness all the time. I have numbness in my feet. I have numbness in my hands. My legs drop. But you know what? I don't say, "Oh my God, it's my MS again." No. I exercise.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
exercise and diet are really crucial.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge for
everyone.
Clarity and health and making you feel better, being able to talk and speak and engage with people. It's interesting though. It takes, that's very quick. I feel like for like 2 months to get somebody back and going. With people with Alzheimer's, because I know you've worked with them as well. What do you think it could be causing it? Do you think it's a mix of
neurofibrillary attacks, neurofibrillary plaques, and neuritic? What it's like is spaghetti and plaques. That's what the brain turns into. And what I always did was use cognitive stimulation. For example, I would take a headline from the newspaper. I would take a keyword and we'd brainstorm that word. What do you think of when I say disaster? And we would go around the room and everybody would say, oh, disaster. There was a fire. This blew up. And then I would start to add the rest of the words in the headline. All of a sudden, they were reading where they weren't reading before.
Of course.
And,
being engaged in it now, right?
And they got the concept of what was around the disaster, where the disaster was, what, where, when, how. And it worked. And that was CogStim. I started that about 30 years ago with my people at Opeka. And 17 years ago, the nurse that we had there said, I would like to introduce you to a friend of mine. His wife is Italian and she's a dental hygienist, but she wants to be a speech pathologist. And her husband said, do you know any speech pathologists? And she said, well, we have one. So they brought this woman over and whoa, what a fast learner. Whoa, a big brain. I was amazed. It was like standing in a field of grass that turned into flowers.
Wow.
Everything she saw, she was so excited and so involved. So we worked together at Opeka. And then when I helped start the MS Achievement Center, I said, now we're going to UCLA. And we introduced CogStim to all the people with MS. And she worked both jobs. I stopped working at Opeka and I just did the MS Achievement Center. And unfortunately, she died a couple of months ago. And she went to her little village in Italy called Cividale. And she had 4 sisters and they met her and she wanted to die at home. And she wrote me and said, I don't know if I'm going to make the plane, because she had to have blood transfusions every day. And I said, Lecha, there's never anything you haven't done that you wanted to do. You're going to make the plane. She texted me from the plane and said, I made it. I said, of course you did. And then she said, when she passed, her words were, don't worry, don't mourn. Now I'm immortal. I thought, what an incredible ending.
That is. I like that.
Yeah.
And what side of would she do? Would she kind of piggyback off you, or how would it kind of go when you guys would do like the teamwork? Yeah.
I was her mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got so good. She was writing articles and she contributed to 2 books.
Wow.
So I became her mentee. And she just was so alive.
Yeah.
And so incredibly bright.
I love when people are so fascinated about somebody. You know, even in the work I do now, I've known a couple people that are like, yeah, I want to do it. It's cool. It's for money or whatever. But I met this one guy that just was so interesting and lock picking and, you know, and just at home kind of fiddling with things. And he's always been a tinkerer. And, you know, he worked at a locksmith shop and he kind of wanted to learn kind of the other side of doing it out on the field. And one thing leads to another. He comes with me on a couple kind of sit-in days, and you can tell it's just when people have that light in them, when they're so engaged, it's interesting. It's yeah, when you put your mind to something, yeah, just that garden grows, and you can feel it. It's quick, it's fast, and yeah, the information comes quick, and it's interesting to see.
Don't you think it starts with curiosity?
Yeah, it's curiosity in whatever it might be. And I think that's a really tough thing with even like school nowadays and knowledge. It's hard, I think, for a lot of kids, and why a lot of maybe even people are getting diagnosed. It's the curiosity is not there, and how they're learning, like whatever degree it might be.
Do you think boredom has something to do with it?
I think boredom is it. Yeah, the way schools are also structured is very, sit in a classroom and not, most schools nowadays, when you were growing up, most schools had a mechanic shop at the school and had a garden and had probably a sewing-esque class and a wood shop. And
I loved wood shop.
Yeah.
I loved carving.
Mm-hmm. And now at most schools that I know of, I mean,
it doesn't
probably
exist.
a couple in the Midwest and smaller towns, due to those are probably the mechanic shops that a lot of people maybe even go to, or for the county or whatever, have died. That aspect of school looks like it's dying, with kind of real world applications of moving and grooving and working with your hands, which is tough. Where do you think you learn the best in school? Where do you think schooling should go in that way? Not even just schooling, knowledge in general.
I think curiosity should be reinforced all the time.
Yeah.
I think kids need to let their imaginations soar.
Mm-hmm.
I think when somebody gets excited about something, hone in on it. Find out what the student wants to do and have them describe how they're going to get there.
Yeah.
Give them that freedom.
Yeah, to do it.
Because everybody's got curiosity.
Yeah.
But it's quelled. It's put down. That's not the way it's done. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's scary.
Because that may not be the way it's done, but what you're doing is you're doing it better.
Yeah, and it's hard. I think I see a lot of people not even, I mean, everyone's curious, but not getting into states of curiosity. People need to try new things.
Absolutely.
And try jobs. I say people that do jobs, even if you're not there for long, try to work at one for a little bit. Try another one even. Maybe get part-time. See what makes you move and what you're interested in. And if it's tinkering or helping people or building, something. And I also think a big thing too, it's very hard nowadays, is a lot of jobs it's not for you. It's for a big company or for a mom and pop. I think doing something that's kind of your baby, right? And if you get your own degree or your own, like you have, your own speech path, and you go and you research and you're on your journey, compared to me clock in somewhere 9 to 5 and just.
That would.
Yeah.
That sounds so boring.
Mm-hmm. It is. For most people it is, but that's most people's lives right nowadays is just, not on their time, on somebody else's time. And I think there's a way to learn from that. Yeah.
You be flexible. What I loved about my profession, and I still do, I don't think there's anything I can't do. Because I can do it a different way if it doesn't work this way. And I guess I'm going to be working until I die because it's good for my brain.
Of course.
It makes me excited. I love the manipulation of ideas. And so...
And I mean, you bring lights to room. People are so attracted to you when you tell somebody something. It might stick with them more than the next person. I think you also have that power, more
because
than a lot of other
really
teachers.
like people.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you can tell, and I think you're good at doing, especially with what you do now. I've seen it only a couple times, but I've seen like a couple kind of bigger classes you've done at like Opeka and such, and the big thing you said is when people are stimulating, you're riding off of that. You're riding off of people. It's that teacher in a classroom where a kid gets excited. It's like, everyone, let's all kind of jump on that excited train, and you can see that you do that. And yeah, that needs to be how knowledge is met in a teacher setting, of get everybody excited about it, or as much people as you can, and the one person that's maybe not, try to find where they're going on now, get everybody on that thing that they're excited about, and try to, following curiosity and excitement is huge. Huge. For memory, for
and
knowledge.
Creativity. Embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace your own.
Yeah.
I've lectured to speech pathologists. I remember Leach and I were in San Francisco at a speech pathology seminar, and a couple of speech pathologists came up to me and said, "How can I do what you do?" I said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "We want to start our own practice." I said, "Then do it."
Yeah.
Start to believe that you can.
Very real believing too.
And that takes erasing the doubt. It's that we've all got the same tools.
Yep.
Just use them. Use them a different way. You don't have to do what you're doing because it's boring to you, or you feel that you can't get out of the lockstep. Dance to your own drummer.
Yeah.
And dance.
Yeah, dance hard. Dance how you like it.
Just dance.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun.
I
have so much fun. I love life.
Well, that's great. That's a great way to do it. Same here. Having fun is the best.
It is.
Yeah. And finding where you have, it's all about finding it and all about trying new things. Everyone's just got to go try new things and try what they love.
And laugh.
I think that's a good point to end on. Laugh and love.
And dance. Dance, laugh, love, and believe that you can.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.